Welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show here on this lovely Friday. And my guy, Steele Chambers, with me here. And Steele, it's first full week in the books.
Mm-hmm.
You made it through here. You didn't die. You only get electrocuted by your mic, or I don't know what could have happened. How are we feeling about how this is going?
Dude, it's been fun. I don't even feel like I'm working. I'm just talking ball with my buddy. It's a good time.
I like this. That's good. That's the goal of the show.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is I wanted to get a guy, so Schleg's left. It's like, okay, who would be someone that would be similar but yet different, maybe a little younger, have a different perspective on things, and be out of state, got your family structure with your sisters, being at West Point, running track. Like there's just a lot of tentacles in there. You played for James, who we played with, so there was just a lot of cool little things. And so you've done a good job with some of the stories, and the Cade story about James Franklin, absolutely fantastic. A lot of fun, and enjoy that. So hopefully we'll be able to get a little more of those extracted out of you as we slowly kind of cruise on through the rest of the offseason.
Yeah, I got plenty of stories, man. I'm an open book.
I love it. Well, you always find some interesting things online. And, Steele, everybody today, they're a critic. They've got the best way to do everything. They've got an opinion. Listen, that's what we do here. We espouse our opinions and talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of college football, going on with Ohio State, try to give our opinions. And I like to do that. And everybody's easy to point out problems. I try to bring a problem and a solution together so you can kind of marry those things and combine them, if you will, to kind of give a more positive outlook. Everybody loves being critical. And so I think you can critique things and look at them with a critical eye, but also understand sometimes where people are coming from, and maybe there's good in it, and maybe there's other people that might have more information than you on any given situation. And so they might be better equipped to make that decision. And I love how people all of a sudden still become experts on all the coaches. Every coach from the NFL to college, offense, defense, position coaches, whatever. And hey, this guy succeeded here, so he'll be great here. This guy didn't succeed here, so he failed here. Maybe this guy's was good, bad, good, whatever it is. Better as a coordinator, not as a head coach. Good coordinator, not a good position coach. Who knows? And so we've got all these different opinions about everything. And I stumbled across this yesterday, and I just started watching because I was like, I wonder where this guy's pulling this information. And I understand, for different reasons you can have success in places. So just because you were good someplace, Steele, doesn't mean you're going to be good someplace else. Just because you were bad someplace doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be bad at the second stop. But this guy threw this up, and I'm not even going to really give it a whole lot of intro. Steele, I want you to get kind of your reaction to this because I know you saw it as well. I'm not sure who this gentleman is. I saw he has about 40,000 followers on IG and Instagram. And, so a little bit of a following there. And he's got, obviously some sort of voice. But his thoughts on the Arthur Smith hire and where he thinks this is going to go.
Let's see.
College football history. Ohio State just handed their offense to Arthur Smith. Buckeye fans, buckle up. Yes, he caught lightning in Tennessee with Derrick Henry in play action, and then Atlanta happened. Kyle Pitts vanished, Drake London stalled, Bijan Robinson watched Tyler Algier get the carries. They fired him. Pittsburgh tried next. 2 years later, bottom five offense, no identity. This might be the worst hire in college football history. Ohio State just handed their offense to Arthur Smith. Buckeye fans, buckle up. Yes, he caught lightning in Tennessee with Derrick Henry in play action, and then Atlanta happened. Kyle Pitts vanished, Drake London stalled, Bijan Robinson watched Tyler Algier get the carries. They fired him. Pittsburgh tried next. 2 years later, bottom five offense, no identity, no explosion. And this is the guy running the most talented offense in the country. Sorry, Ohio State. Your title hopes didn't end on the field. They ended in the hiring room. Ohio State at Texas, September 12th, Longhorns by 21. This might be the worst hire in college football.
Longhorns by 21. I love that. I love that we pretend like Ryan Day isn't part of the offensive staff and doesn't know what's going on there with that. But kind of your initial visceral response when you heard that gentleman talking about the worst. I mean, we're not even parsing this out. The worst hire in college football.
Yeah, isn't that dude just a ray of sunshine? Jesus. I mean, I initially go to I'm big on the whole man in the arena saying where if you've never been like in the battle as far as being a player or a coach, I don't trust a lot of what you have to say. And luckily I'm surrounded by people who've all like been on the field either as a coach or a player. And most of like all the time I listen to what those guys have to say because they have experience. That fine young old gentleman, whatever he is, I'm gonna guess he's never played football before, so it seemed like he was just stringing together a bunch of like little sound bites to make it sound like he knew what he was saying. And for the most part, he really has no idea. So I don't really care much about what he has to say. I feel like everyone has an opinion. And if you have never had skin in the game, then I don't really trust what you have to say, especially if I'm guessing he's doing that like on his couch or something.
Exactly. And one of the things I found interesting, like you said, he just strung together some things. So here's what people do is any type of success that you have, they'll justify it as luck. And this is kind of the process. I don't want to call them losers, Steele, but people that are generally bitter and unhappy and love to just be overly critical about things. Anybody that has any type of success, they'll put that in the luck category. And then any type of failures, they'll attribute all of the responsibility and blame for that to you. And so, Steele, when you had that made the interception in the Peach Bowl against Georgia, like, well, that was luck. He threw it right to you. You happened to be in the right place at the right time, and anybody could have caught that, and you probably should have had a better return. And then ultimately, if you miss a tackle sometime or you get beat on some coverage, then all of a sudden, well, you didn't prepare, you weren't very good, you didn't take it seriously, you don't have the ability. And I hate when people do all of those things and try to combine them to try to dismiss the success, caught lightning in a bottle. What does that mean when you start talking about being the number one overall seed in Tennessee? And you had Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback. Now, listen, I'm not here to sit here and tell you Ryan Tannehill is the worst quarterback in NFL history because he's not. You know, he's got some ability, he's got some talent. You know, Miami drafted him in the first round. They end up paying him. But I don't think anybody's confusing, you know, Ryan Tannehill with a combination of Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady either. So he was able to put together a really talented offense and put together it uniquely in Tennessee. And it worked out. Then you go ultimately and look what he did in Atlanta. Okay. He starts talking about the carries. And this is the one thing that he doesn't know. Like, there's probably more to it. Don't you think he wanted to get Bijan Robinson the ball more? Like, there had to be an underlying reason. Arthur Smith's not an idiot. Still, anybody can sit here and tell you, like, hey, this guy's one of your best players. Like, let's get him the rock more. Maybe there was some underlying issues as to why he wasn't. It's not because he's not smart. It's because there was probably something going on personnel-wise that, you know what, maybe people publicly still weren't all that privy to.
Yeah, I mean, I came out earlier this week and I said sort of the same thing as far as the Algier, Bijan Robinson kind of splitting carries thing. But that was just one of my initial reactions. And then once you look into it, like realize that Bijan Robinson, he was a rookie that year. So, of course, you just don't want to front load him and then have one of those situations where you're killing a rookie and like 2 or 3 years down the line, like he's struggling just to stay on the field because of health issues. But goodness gracious, I see that man as, this is straight from Tommy Eichenberg, actually, a crab in a bucket. So as soon as like anyone's like showing success, trying to get out the bucket, they're that crab trying to get out of there. He's just throwing his little pinchers up there, trying to drag him back in. That's exactly what I see this man being.
So I like that illusion you made. And that's something that I don't know if a lot of people know. Like, when crabs are in a bucket, you don't have to put a lid on it. They can climb out, but the other crabs pull them back down. And so when someone tries to escape, they just continually pull them back into it. So there's your crab in the bucket analogy, Steele. And I love that you pulled that out. That's a really good one. Because then you go to Pittsburgh, and I had a good conversation with Arthur Smith earlier this week. And, you know, and I'm very curious. Like, I'm going to talk to AJ, and I think they're, you know, working, see if we can get Aaron Rodgers to come back and through. I know he's got a great relationship with Aaron. And to me, if like you have a great relationship with what many people view as one of the best quarterbacks all time in the NFL, and especially over the last 15 years, Aaron's not an idiot. And you know this, Steele, people – they judge you a lot of times in professionals or even in college sports. Like, how are you going to make me better as a player? Like, you've got to have a high degree of competency and you have to be able to connect and relay that information. And Aaron Rodgers, man, you're not Snow and the Snowman. Like, you can't fool him. He's been around a lot. And there's some coaches that maybe didn't always get along great with him. And I always tell people, well, if you're not getting along great with one of your best players who's pretty smart, maybe it's because you don't explain things all that well. And when he pushes back, because he's seen a lot, maybe you don't have good explanations for it. And you view that as him challenging your authority when really he's just trying to get to the bottom of it of how they're going to ultimately win. You said A, I asked you why A is correct and why not B. Give me the reason, not just, well, because I said so. Like, you're not talking about children here. And so I think that that's, and by the way, Pittsburgh didn't have any weapons, but Aaron respected him. Aaron liked him. And I have a ton of respect for him and what he can do. And so I've always found it's better that when you want to judge somebody, whether it's a player or a coach, talk to the people that were in the locker room with him, because they'll be able to have a much more informed opinion, if you will, on what actually is going on.
I feel like that's the best way to get best way to get a read on people, just how others react whenever like they come and go. Did they like him? Did they enjoy the energy that they brought to the organization? All those sorts of things. Because I'll bring Tommy up again. Not the best like attributes as far as like speed, strength, and everything. But whenever you went to the Ohio State locker room, there wasn't a single person out there that said, oh, he's a bad guy. He's not someone that I would want at the next level to kind of lead my locker room. Like, he's the dude that you want to see in that back alley whenever you're all alone to help you with that fight. So, I mean, Arthur Smith, it seems like nothing but respect has come out of Pittsburgh whenever he left. So I feel like it's going to be a solid fit for Ohio State, because everyone over there, I feel like I would respect him. So the fact that they're saying all these nice things about him, I think it's a good hire.
Yeah, and so then you look at this, and so, you know, I would say this experience is a good thing. It's not the only thing, but if you look at the Ohio State coordinating situation, who they've got, Pat, and if you could pull that up and throw that up there, you're looking now, and we addressed this a little bit, but it's great to always put numbers, and so you can quantify things, Steele, as to who the coordinators are and what they ultimately are going to be. You're talking about two guys on the offensive and defensive side of the ball that have spent the majority of their time in the NFL, which is a scheme game. You have to out-scheme people because talent is going to be very equated. And they've done a pretty good job out of it at different spots. And, yeah, there's going to be some highs. There's going to be some lows. But Ohio State now, if we could toss that up, Pat, has over 40 years, Steele, in NFL coaching experience, like at their two coordinating positions. And two guys that are pretty young. I mean, they've been in the NFL for a long time from an early age. I think that's invaluable to have on your staff when you start having these conversations. And Matt and Arthur get along well, and to have those guys be able to push back and forth on each other in practice, I think is going to benefit everybody immensely.
Yeah, I mean, 40, you can't replicate that. I mean, there's not going to be a single thing that they haven't seen as far as what happens on the field. And then you're giving them a sprint to kind of just one of those situations where iron sharpens iron against one another. I really see this work, and this is going to be an awesome tandem. And then just, if people are still scared about like his lack of success in the NFL and then translating to college, look at guys like Saban or even Urban Meyer, who might have struggled at the NFL level, but whenever they came down to college, they absolutely killed it. So again, like, this is going to be an awesome hire. 40 years of experience between two coordinators. You cannot replicate that whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a rarity. It is definitely a rarity, to say the least. Experience matters. And this is one of the things that, I was talking to some of these coaches about, where there's guys that know scheme and they're good at install and they know what to do. The one thing that experience gives you, Steele, is those adjustments, the in-game stuff, that when you try A, it works for a minute, then they swing back with a counterpunch. How do you then adjust? You kind of had a feel for how they would attack you initially. Well, once they get something that maybe figures out what you're doing, how do you continue to adjust? Do you have a plan? Do you have an idea? Being able to kind of figure that out, like those things are very important to be able to do. So the counterpunch, the understanding that comes with time in the league, seeing a lot of things and knowing that you ultimately have to get to that you have to get experience, you have to be in the game to kind of get a feel for it. So I feel really good about that. I don't know who that Jamoke was, at the beginning, just talking nonsense, saying Ohio State, get ready. I feel like he had a little bit of a Southern drawl, probably a Texas fan.
I mean, he said Texas by 21. I imagine he's a Texas fan.
Yeah. My other thing is like, dude, why you troll? Like, why do you care to come on and troll? Or maybe you're an SEC guy and like, oh, this guy's a terrible hire. I will tell you this. I think Arthur Smith had other NFL options to be a coordinator in the NFL still, but he chose to come to Ohio State. So I mean, it wasn't like you're scraping the barrel to get whoever you can get. I mean, there were other jobs that were open that mysteriously, Steele, after he took the Ohio State job, those jobs kind of closed up. And so maybe he was in the running for a couple of them and said, you know what? I'm going to go coach with Ryan. We're going to try to figure that out and see what we can do.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You mentioned it earlier. Like, he's going to have a lot more time with his kids. I feel like that's definitely like a big part of it.
Oh yeah, that's I think that's a big piece when you start looking at these guys and what they ultimately want to be a part of, and the coaching staff they want to be on, and what they value in life.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming back, trying to figure we should do some offensive line talk. It's never a bad thing to do. There is some news coming out of there, but you know what? Let's it's a little Friday. Let's go for something really fun.
Cool.
That Ohio State's got that somewhere where Ohio State's actually looking pretty good. There's a list of all-time All-Americans. Whoever had the most All-Americans have come out. Now, I'm not exactly positive on this because there needs to be a little color. I actually quote tweeted them and asked to see how they were measuring this, but they never responded. So we'll have to try to figure that out. We're going to go list all-time All-Americans here coming up next. First, a message from our friends at FanDuel. You know how fast the NFL game days move. One big play, everything changes. That's why live betting on FanDuel is a game changer. With FanDuel, you can bet in real time while the game unfolds. Score just flipped, jump on the new spread, or ride the live money line. That receiver's heating up, bet the next touchdown score or total yards. Think that drive stalls in the red zone? Take a live field goal proper, fade the total. Live player props, team totals, drive results, updated spreads, next play markets. It's all here. It's fast. It's fun with FanDuel. Your live bets, well, they move as quickly as the game does. So whether you're riding the momentum or fading the hype, FanDuel puts you right in the middle of every moment. Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the FanDuel app all season long. Must be 21 older and present in Ohio, 21 older and present in Pennsylvania. First online money wager gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer-flavored beer. Welcome back into the program. And still, when you were looking at schools, and I know they have all this information about, in the literature, and they show you that they probably just send you links. When I was in school, they would actually send you letters, and it would just be number of players drafted, or how many guys are playing in the NFL, or number of all conference or all Americans. Like, did that stuff matter to you when you were looking at the school, like what they had done historically over developing players?
I like the championship aspect, like being able to show like we have a history of winning. And then another thing that I kind of really liked was outside of football, they showed like how many CEOs and presidents of companies that they had go through their program. So those were the kind of two things that I really like to see. And then of course, like we have a lot of people getting drafted. That's always cool. So those are kind of really my three things that I looked at.
Yeah. It's okay. So drafted, you said team success, and what was the third?
Like people who outside of football had tons of success, like CEOs and whatnot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I ran across the thing yesterday about like schools that produce the most CEOs. Maybe it was inside, maybe the algorithm has incepted your mind and jumped into my algorithm thinking about that. Because that's pretty wild. I literally was looking at that last night, the schools with the most CEOs of like Fortune 100 companies. I forget what the metric was on it. I think that's something that's always important. Like you walk around, and I was getting recruited, you walk through Buckeye Grove, and then you of all the first team All-Americans, and they've got the pictures of all of the first team All-Americans hanging in the Woody Hayes. And it's hard to get to be a first team All-American. There's 5 different lists you can be on. Being consensus, as we've talked earlier, Steele, I don't know if you know this, being consensus All-American means you're on 3 of the 5 lists. Being a unanimous All-American means you're on 5 of the 5 lists. And let's throw this up here. And it's a big deal. That was always the goal. It's most All-Americans all time.
Goodness.
Now, yeah, Ohio State's second to Notre Dame with 95. You got Michigan at 89, Alabama at 86, USC at 84, OU at 83, Texas 65. Ironically, just surprisingly a little bit, Pitt, I mean, because they had a lot of storied success through the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're with 55. Surprised about anybody on that list and where some people are?
I thought it would be us, Texas, and USC fighting for the number 1 spot. I did not expect Notre Dame to be up there. I thought they'd be like 4th or 5th.
Well, the thing is, you got to remember, this is going back. I don't know when they started the AP All-American teams, but that's probably going back into like the 40s. And you got to think how Notre Dame has been really good for a really long time. And so they're going to be able to pull on some of that. It's a little bit like, Pitt, Nebraska, where they've been. Hell, look, Army's sitting there with 37. I don't think anybody would have guessed that.
Go Army, baby. Come on. I mean, I'm not surprised. They got some absolute athletes over there. What else?
So one of the things I tried to figure out with this, and as I mentioned, like the consensus All-Americans versus unanimous, and I was like, it says most All-Americans of all time. So I'm like, is this first team All-Americans? Like, or is it like, is it encompass like all like first, second, or third team? And also one of the other questions I was trying to figure out is like AJ was a 2-time All-American at Ohio State. James Laurinaitis, like 3-time All-American at Ohio State. Does he count as one? Or are those guys, because not just Ohio State, but at all schools, like, is it unique players or is it the amount of times people have been named All-American as well?
I would say unique players. I feel like if they included that, like, yeah, Laurinaitis got 3 of them. We had, I think, 4 or 5 last year. I feel like those numbers would just be jacked up if they counted how many times a singular player got it. So I think that's just individual players.
Yeah, and that's also what's interesting with that is, like I said, is it first, second, third team? Is it first team only? Because it's like I was a third team AP All-American. I'm like, am I factored into this? And because I feel like the numbers might be more. I'm not sure though. Like in my mind, I've never went through Steel and counted the pictures of like how many guys were first team All-Americans at Ohio State. In my mind, I feel like maybe that's the number right there. If we toss that up, Pat, what was it, 95? That's a lot of counting.
I would say, like, on average.
Does that sound right? You walked through that hallway, Steel. Like, how many pictures do you think are up there?
There's a lot of pictures, like a lot. And I mean, they haven't even put up a lot of the recent ones yet. So, that's got to be.
It's got to be
individual players, first team All-Americans.
It's got to be first team All-Americans because Pat just threw this up where Ryan Day has 27 first team All-Americans in 7 seasons. So
that's just a little sliver of time. Yes.
So that's over 7 years. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're talking about 95. So I bet that is, I'm guessing that's unique players that have become All-American.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be.
I think it would have to be. I'm going to go through those still. I've got some homework now. I haven't been to the Woody yet today. I've got some XM to do a little bit later, but I'll have to head on over and kind of check that out and see where we're at. Put that list up there again, Pat, because this is one of the things that I found pretty interesting. I mean, I would have thought Miami would have had more. I mean, sitting there at 38 they've been really good. Well, maybe not the last 20 years, but from like 80 to 2004, like they were really stinking good for a 20-year run.
I just think of that like late 1990s, early 2000s run, like that 4 or 5 year span. That's all I really think of. I mean, probably 25 of those came from 2 teams, if you really think about it. 2001, 2000.
Well, they had a lot there, but I'll tell you this, man, their 88 team, like they had some dudes back in the day too. Like when Michael Irvin was there in 87, like they had some guys when they won some of those national titles in the early, like Warren Sapp, who I don't even know if you know who Warren Sapp is.
I know Warren Sapp. Come on.
I don't know, man. Like Warren Sapp was out of the league by the time. Did he play? I think maybe played against him for a year or played in the league when he was there for a year, maybe 2, maybe not at all. I didn't know, man. Like, I mean, that was in the early 90s. That was before. What year were you born?
2000.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, he's playing at Miami 7 years before you were born. I mean, your parents might remember him. I can't expect you to remember that.
There's tapes. I've watched tapes. I know who Bo Jackson is just because he played before I was born. I still know who he is.
Well, still, there's a lot of young guys who aren't necessarily they aren't necessarily as smart as you. So and they're not as dedicated to the game. I'll say that. You go back, you watch the old footage, then you pop in Top Gun, watch that afterwards. And while you're watching the old games, you play Pearl Jam and the Top Gun soundtrack. So that's where you're at. You're a little bit different, I would say, than most of the guys who are your age right now. So if you're born in 2000, make you turn 26. When's your birthday?
July 24th.
Okay, there we go. I like that. I'm an August.
I will say on Spotify, whenever it got like the yearly wrap, it said I was 72 years old.
So hold up, Spotify tries to guess your age based upon your musical preferences?
Yes, it was a lot of Pearl Jam. It was a lot of the Beatles. Gosh, who else?
Beatles is up in you a lot because Pearl Jam is a little bit old for me, but like I was in middle school, elementary school when the grunge wave hit with Nirvana and Pearl Jam and everything else, which I love that you're just discovering that now, as those guys are like in their mid-50s going out trying to tour. I was just talking to a guy today. I spoke it out in Licking County. They have this big, it's called the Groundhog Breakfast every year.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to inspire them. 600, it's put on by the Licking County Chamber of Commerce. And, I was their keynote this year and just trying to provide a little juice and inspiration to get them going. And I had 2 people come up to me that said that one of the guys said I was sitting behind him at the Rolling Stones concert. Another guy told me that he was beside me, or maybe he was at the urinal beside me in the Rolling Stones concert. Another guy was behind me at the Offspring and Dropkick Murphys concert. And those were both like 15. One was probably like 18 years ago. That was probably 13, 14 years ago. So that's a little bit more me. The Beatles, Rolling Stones, that's my parents, and that's there. But I love that you got an old soul with that, and you do go back and watch the old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go count the pictures in the Woody to see how many individual All-Americans we have, because I feel like that number is probably 95. And it's been definitely upped over the last 20 years and in a big way. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got our friends tell you about our friends at XSport. Parents and athletes, protect what matters most with XSport mouthguards, trusted by professional athletes, designed by NHL team dentists. XSport mouthguards are scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. XSport mouthguards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber that they custom print that bad boy right to your grill for more protection, better comfort, and clear communication. That way you can focus on your game, not your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby today and save 15% on your order. XSport, protect what matters most. Ohio State adding to out of the portal still. We thought it was over, but they threw that fishing rod back in there still and plucked one more out. We'll find out who that is and how they can help coming up next.
Every winning play starts somewhere. For you, it could be with us. At Smart Choice Bass, we bring the showroom to you with no pressure and no long sale pitches. Just real options that fit your home and budget. This is your opportunity to have the bathroom of your dreams. Right now, you can get $12.50 off your bathroom remodel with a free luxury upgrade and peace of mind with a 24-month money-back guarantee. Call 844-GET-SMART or visit smartchoicebass.com today.
Welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. And Ohio State, the portal is closed for who can get in still, but you can still pluck guys out. And Indiana, a lot of these schools have done this. They go and they get some veteran players from smaller schools to come in, and hopefully they're getting the right guys, good guys that'll come in and work. Maybe they'll be rotational pieces. Maybe they'll be depth pieces. Maybe they'll be frontline starters. You don't know until you get them in and you get to watch them work with the team. But bringing in Dartmouth offensive tackle, Vasine Washington. Now, offensive tackle has been a need still. They've had to figure that out, who can come in and who can play that position. He's only allowed reportedly 1 sack and 700 attempts. So you have people that throw that out there because the comments are always better than the announcement. Comments are always better than the story. So you have that. 1 sack, 700 attempts. I like it. It's good. That's a positive thing. Then you have another comment that says, more dudes to rot on the bench while Julian Saying gets sacked 5 times a possession. So we're swinging back pretty hard the other way.
Well, that's not very nice.
And then someone else said, that's not him, or either he changed his number. He's number 72. So I just saw that. I don't know if that's right or wrong, his number. But the reality, like, you're getting a veteran guy who's proven at the college level. Now, is he proven at the level of Ohio State? No. But he gave up 1 sack and 700 attempts. So I bet he probably wasn't the most expensive guy in the portal. He's a Dartmouth guy and got in, and you're thinking, okay, where do we need depth? Well, he checks that depth box. And on the offensive line, as you know, you can never have enough bodies over there. And people complain about the Ethionyanwa situation. They brought him in last year, and I think they compensated him pretty heavily. And he never started. I'm like, well, better guys beat him out. You're not going to play guys this is the problem now with the portal. Just because you brought him in and you paid him a lot, you still have an obligation to play the guys that give you the best chance to win.
Yeah, and first of all, dude's a savant. He went to Dartmouth. I mean, I could never get in there, and he did. So I kind of view this in 2 ways. First of all, of course, you look at the stats. He's obviously a good player at the level he's at right now. And you've seen guys like there's a guy at the Senior Bowl, wide receiver, who went from a D3 college, and now he's just absolutely dominating at the Senior Bowl. So there's talent all around. It's just sometimes hard to find it. And then second, you put this guy in an Ohio State program where he's with Coach Mick, maybe getting a little bigger, stronger, faster, and then kind of pair that with his cerebral that he obviously has. Who knows? I mean, you could catch lightning in a bottle with this kid. The stats show like he's solid at where he's at. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And of course, like if it doesn't work out, if he works out as a second stringer or something, that's just like you said, extra depth. And at a position where guys are kind of getting hurt left and right, like that's never going to really harm you.
Well, what's crazy is people like, would you rather play the guy that you got out of the portal, or would you rather play the best guy still? Like, that doesn't seem like it should be that difficult a question.
Best guy.
I mean,
that's what Ohio State's built on, playing the best guy.
Like the Ryan Day, like there's no sacred cows. Like there's nobody there that's untouchable. And so if you bring in a guy and he beats somebody out, or he gets beat out, like that's ultimately what you want. Part of what you're trying to do, Steele, and you know this, is trying to simulate and create competition. And so if you just have one guy that's sitting in that spot who maybe was gifted into it, Philip Daniels did a good job at tackle last year. Was there something to be desired? Yeah, he could still get better and improve. So you have that. You've got some really good players like Ian Moore. There's some good young guys that you feel pretty good about. Maybe you can move Austin Serveld inside and kick him over to guard. Maybe you can move him to right tackle. But like bringing this guy in, now you're going to allow him to compete with those other 4 guys, and it will give you more depth and the ability to have some flexibility on that offensive line to find what those best 5 might be, because it's the hardest position group still to kind of piece together, because those guys have to have such great connectivity.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got 5 guys who all basically have to work on a string, and that's something that takes time. And if this guy's able to make that jump and get into that little string of 5 guys and be one of the best 5 linemen at Ohio State, then he's got to play, because that's what they're built on. They're built on creating competition in the offseason, and whoever comes out on top at the end of it, no matter if it's a 5th year, a freshman transfer, they're going to get on the field and play. And for me, I learned that the hard way. My sophomore year, I thought I was going to be one of the starting running backs. Next thing you know, they bring in Trey Sermon. I'm thinking, okay, I got to compete a little bit. He absolutely destroys me. I don't see the field at all. And it just like let me know, like they're going to continuously bring in guys, and they're just going to up the competition every single year. And you've just got to be prepared for that.
So that's a great point that you bring in, and you were part of that, Steele, where you'd been in the program for a couple of years. They bring in a guy with Trey Sermon, and he was a guy that was really good at Oklahoma as a freshman, and then he got hurt, and maybe good as a sophomore. Then he got hurt as a junior. They kind of soured on him. He transferred in. Obviously played pretty well for Ohio State and played a handful of years in the league. But he had an injury. And so when he came in here, still, like when you heard that they were bringing in a guy, like, because that's when all this kind of first started, the portal stuff and just how different it was. I had never been a part of that. What was that like for you when you found out he was going to be coming in?
I remember having a conversation with my dad, just saying like, okay, you know what? This guy, like, he has experience. He's played at high level, like, programs like Oklahoma. Like, you've got to buckle in and you've got to compete for that spot. And that's what I went in doing. And I mean, the dude just straight up out physicaled me. He was faster than me, stronger than me, understood the game more. So he ended up getting that spot. And of course, like, I was pissed off about it. Like, I wanted to play. I feel like I was in a position to really contribute that year. But ultimately, Coach Alford, he put in the guy that most deserved it and was the better player. And as much as that was hard for me to accept as a truth, that's just how it was. So again, I was sour about it, but like, I understood the reality of the situation.
All right. I'm going to get into those conversations a little bit with Coach Alford and what that looked like. Here, we're long for a break. So we're going to take a quick break with our guy Steele. When we come back, get a little look and a little peek behind the curtain. Obviously you talked to your dad. You mentioned you're a little sour. You thought you were next up and playing. And when you talk to Coach Alford, like what his words of advice were for you at that point in time. We'll find out that here next. But first, talk to you about our friends at Backer BCKR gear. It is the best fan gear you're going to find. It looks good. It feels good. It's got the function. It's got the features. And it's the high-end outdoor product that you're looking for that's branded to your team, like that elite skiing, fishing, golf, hunting gear. It's going to hug you. It's going to make you feel good. It's the fabrics are fantastic on it that they end up using. Loads of great features and a purchase of every piece of it on the Buckeyes or Buckeyes gear on the website. A portion goes back to their NIL fund. That's bckr.com. Use promo code all caps Bobby for 10% off. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show and getting into some of those conversations with Steele and Tony coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right, welcome into our headlines, brought to you by Columbus Choice Baths. They've officially arrived in our city, and they're kicking things off with a massive win to celebrate the new division. They have partnered with me and Big Play to give away a complete bathroom remodel valued at up to $10,000. We're talking brand new shower or tub installed for free, no purchase necessary. Just go to smartchoicebaths.com or scan the QR code right there on your screen to enter. It's smartchoicebaths.com. Get in on this before the prize period ends, and don't let your bathroom sit on the bench any longer. Get on in there and get it done with Smart Choice Baths. All right, we're into our headlines now. Steele, I almost called you Schlegs right there. There's conversations. So I want to get curious on the timeline. Did you hear about this from like other players? Did you see it on the line? Did Tony Alford tell you this? How did you find out that Trey Sermon was going to be transferring to Ohio State?
So Coach Alford got to me beforehand, before like I saw the news with social media and everything. And he told me like, hey, we're bringing in this guy. Like, there's a chance that he could be the starter. But of course, like, I recruited you. I trust you and your talents. I want you to go out there and compete for your spot. Because at the time, I was the only running back available. Master Teague had just torn his Achilles. Marcus Crowley was a little hurt. I was the one guy. So he said, like, I still trust you, but at the same time, I'm going to bring this guy in, and I want you two to compete. I want to see, like, what you're made of. And I respected it, of course. I would rather him come to me than just find out on some social media, and he never even talks to me about it. So I enjoyed that. And then once the competition got going and Trey to sort of separate himself a little bit, he still pulled me aside almost like weekly, just telling me like, hey, like you're my guy here. I know like it looks like you're getting less snaps, but there might come like a situation down the line where I need you and I need you to be prepared. So that's kind of like what kept me into it, was the fact that even though I wasn't playing, he still just continuously told me how much he trusted me and how much he cared for me. And I needed that because I was in a hard place. I wasn't playing. And that's just a hard spot going from high school where you're at the top of your game. And then in college, you're just kind of the bare minimum, nothing. So, I mean, I thank Coach Alfred all the time for what he was able to do for me. And he's a big reason why I ultimately stuck with it at Ohio State, just having his presence there as a guy that I could trust.
Was there an inclination for you to get in the portal at any point during that time?
Oh, goodness. I remember right after the national championship, post-Alabama game, I was not happy. I had come off like 2 months of just getting my butt kicked by COVID. I could barely breathe. We got destroyed in the national championship, and I'm kind of just sitting in the car thinking, like, what am I doing here? I don't even know if I'm going to play next year. He's got all these running backs coming in. I'm just having all these self-doubts. Like, can I actually play and make a difference on this team?
And all those running backs, that was like Trey and Evan Pryor and those guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm just thinking to myself, and part of me wanted to go, and then part of me just like hearing my mom and my dad's voice just saying like, hey, like, we don't raise quitters. So I didn't want to quit. And at the time, like, I was still, of course, going to stay at running back, but I wanted to just really battle it out and see what I could do, like prove something to myself. And then it got to that point where I made the switch to linebacker. And then I'm in the room with Tommy. I'm in the room with Cody, Coach Washington, who loved me a lot. And I just felt like I was kind of at home. And I just developed there, eventually got on the field, and then got to the point where I was actually like contributing to the team. And I felt like I was actually an Ohio State Buckeye.
I like that. Gosh, that's really good, Steele. I mean, that's just a window in, because you were that was that first year where they had that portal.
Mm-hmm.
You do that. You were on the other side of it where someone came in and took what you thought was going to be your job. And then you ultimately have Travion Henderson and Evan Pryor, who were like the number 1 and 5 running backs in the country coming in. You know, Evan transferred to Cincinnati and had a pretty good career. And then we all know what Trey ultimately became and how good he ultimately was. I remember still trying to tell you, like, dude, there's a lot of good running backs. Like, come over and play linebacker. There's a help wanted ad that they've got over there for you. I want to find out. We'll get some tailgate talk and we'll answer your questions coming up next. I'm sure the folks have some questions about all of that. I've got one more about that process. It's just super fascinating to me, because I never got a chance to experience that. Like, that was never an option for me. So I'm just curious as to your mindset, because you got 2 awesome parents. Like you said, they didn't raise you to quit, like grind through it, and what that ultimately looked like. We'll talk about that transition from linebacker to running back to linebacker, when that happened, and how those conversations went ultimately coming up here next in our tailgate talk on the Bobby Carpenter Show.
Every winning play starts somewhere. For you, it could be with us. At Smart Choice Bash, we bring the showroom to you with no pressure and no long sale pitches. Just real options that fit your home and budget. This is your opportunity to have the bathroom of your dreams. Right now, you can get $12.50 off your bathroom remodel with a free luxury upgrade and peace of mind with a 24-month money-back guarantee. Call 844-GET-SMART or visit smartchoicebash.com today.
All right, welcome back into the program in our tailgate talk. We answer your questions, and people always in there still, they're saying, Doreen, I love to hear stories like this. I love to hear the stories like this, because I was around a couple of guys that came in and had position shifts, and I had a little bit of a unique one, like your roommate, Cade, who, I mean, he was snip, snap, like offense, defense, different positions on defense, like all over the place. And now, like, dude's playing tight end in the NFL. And so you're like, hey, probably worked out, you know, like your position shift to linebacker. I mean, you're making interceptions in the Peach Bowl instead of, you know, sitting over there behind Travion Henderson, like saying, hey, I wish I wanted to play running back, because that's what you loved. And then you see those guys coming in, you're talking, you know, my parents didn't raise me to quit. I don't want to transfer. Do I still want to play running back? Like, who did you talk to when you ultimately were like, hey, I would like to, maybe it's time for me to try something else? Like, did you go to Al Washington, who was the linebackers coach at the time? Did you go to, Tony Alford, the running backs coach? Was that a Ryan Day conversation? Just, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to be able to get that approved. How did that work?
I mean, Coach Washington, he had always sprinkled in the idea of me going to linebacker because he did recruit me as a linebacker to Ohio State, but I ultimately chose the running back route. And like he was always telling me throughout my first 2 years, like, I want you over here, like you're a dude that I want like playing at linebacker. And I just shrugged it off because I wanted to be a running back. But then once it came down to that third year where Travion was starting to assert himself as a starter and the linebacker group was really thin, he brought me in, Coach Day brought me in, and realized that like I still have some talent, but it's just being wasted being a third or fourth string at running back. So why not try the linebacker thing and just see how it is?
I think I told you that too. Like, you can sit there and be the third running back, or you can be the starting linebacker still. Like, I know that we're proud and we want to stay at running back, but like, do you want to actually play football on Saturdays? Like, and that's, those are the conversations. It's like, hey, and guys are, well, this is what I am. Like, okay. Or you can have a chance to like actually play. And you know what's fun, Steele?
Playing
football.
Playing football. And those are hard conversations to have, man, because like you said, it's just kind of like a pride thing. Like, you spend 2 years working on it. Now it feels like you got to start from ground zero to try to like build yourself back up as a linebacker. It's a hard thought to really like get through your head.
Was it easier because of Tommy being over there?
Absolutely. The fact that I had played defense in high school, and then I've got my roommate that's like helping me through the playbook. Cody, as smart as it gets, he's helping me. And that's kind of like where I noticed like the true side of Ohio State. There are these guys that like I'm trying to play next to them or even take their spot, but they're doing everything in their power to try to help me. And that's because of just the relationship that we built throughout those 2 years, and just like there's just genuine love between all of us. I mean, we're all going to be at each other's weddings, and I can't thank them enough for just how much they really helped me in that process.
What's amazing is you bring up Cody there, and you, Tommy, and Steele all Tommy and Kate all lived together. And Cody was kind of like, because was he in your class, or was he the class? He was in Tommy's class and got redshirted.
He was the class below us.
Okay, so you guys all got redshirted, and then he was behind you.
Yes,
because you were there for 5, correct?
I was there for 5. He was there for 5.
He was there for 5 too. Cody was there for 5, because I remember he could have come out, he could have transferred, and I felt like I maybe helped talk him into coming back to Ohio State, because I want to get him in there, and that's a way bigger conversation. Because you talk about like Trey coming and taking your job, well, then when you flip over, it's like, hey, Cody, awesome to see you, buddy. I know you maybe next up, but like now I'm coming over here.
Well, no, it was more Taraja. That's
yes, Taraja Mitchell. I forgot about that too. And so there was a lot of things that were ultimately in there. We'll get to all that. That's for another day. We've got our football or Fridays where we can either have dude of the week, some parting thoughts. I'm gonna have a quick dude of the week, and then parting thoughts with Steele if he's got some for us here coming up next. I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right, pull it up. I'm sorry, Pat. Pull up the JRAM. And I know that people in Cleveland are about this. Steele, you got while he's pulling that up, you got a quick parting thought, or you want to fire away?
I was going to go in a spiel in my little journal, but I'm going to save that for Mondays now.
Yes, I'd save that for Monday, because you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I'll give you a little spiel on this. My dad would tell me this all the time, and I probably should have worked it into my talk this morning, but he would always say, if money's all you chase, it's all you ever catch. And my man, Jose Ramirez, they call him J-Ram up in Cleveland. he's an all-star, may end up being a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. Took a little bit less money to stay in Cleveland. And, a couple of years back, just redid his deal. I think they re-upped him. And people are like, why don't you want to get traded, go somewhere else, get more money, be a free agent? And ultimately, he's like, I want to be happy, not have a lot of money. And he has a lot of money. But at some point in time, like, I'm not going to tell people, if the next million's better than the first million and the 10th million's better than the 9th million, whatever. Like, you can do whatever you want. And there's limits to things. And what a great guy to be able to look at. He's a guy that I want my kids to be able to watch, plays the game the right way, plays really hard, awesome teammate, loves where he's at, loves what he does, who he does it with. And, man, he's like, I want to be happy. And financial reward is part of that, but not the only part. And I think that that's important to be able to see. And so I saw that. I was like, man, I could talk for 20 minutes on that. And as you get older still, you realize, like, money ain't the most important thing. It's time. And I've enjoyed this time with you this week. I'm excited for our next week to get rolling. And our time is up today here on the Bobby Carpenter Show.